he had said and shared with me all about the golf tournament and said, you have to come, and absolutely, my husband Denny and I were like, absolutely, we will be there. Little did we know our surprise fourth baby would be coming 7 weeks before the golf tournament. But we are very happy to be here through that torrential downpour all the way from our front door to here. So we brought the storm, so sorry about that weather. I wear many different hats, and I'm here today to talk to you about those different hats. And I'm going to take you on a little bit of my journey and how I got those different hats and how I wear them. You first have to know that I usually always speak before Barb, so wow, that was quite the event to follow. So let's go back to the first hat that I wear. I am a daughter. I have two parents that live in Windsor, Ontario. I was born into a family, a very active, competitive sports family. I have two older brothers who are 5 and 6 years older than me and always played hockey. My mom prayed and prayed and prayed for that daughter, that girl, and begged my dad, just one more. And so he said, fine. My mom says that everyone across Ontario could hear her scream when she had, and they said it's a girl. And so life went on normal. I was born, I was meeting my developmental milestones, I sat up, I moved my head like normal, I started crawling. But as soon as I started to crawl, my mom would notice that instead of just standing up and pulling myself up on furniture, I'd kind of crawl up my body or crawl to a chair or crawl to something for assistance to stand. And she thought, well, that's weird. So a typical thing in our family would be after dinner, we'd have our baths and we'd go for a walk to the stop sign and back to the house. And after a couple of steps, I would look at my mom and ask to be picked up. And so my mom thought, uh-oh, it's my daughter, I'm spoiling her, I better kind of push her along a little more. No, you can walk, you can walk. As I started to walk more, she'd noticed that I would fall a lot. So she made an appointment with our family doctor because she blamed it on my father, who's flat-footed, and said, well, it's probably your fault. She has flat feet as well. She'll need some orthotics in her shoes and away we'll go. So this was in 1987 that she had made this appointment. She took me to the doctor's. I walked into the doctor's office with her. You know, we have a 3-year-old at home who never stops talking. I now understand what that definition of never stop talking means. Apparently he's very much like me, and I never stopped talking. And so she walked me into the doctor's office. The doctor said, something's not looking so right with her hips. Let's just make a referral to a pediatrician. I'm sure you're right that she's flat-footed, and we'll go from there. I went to the pediatrician appointment, and that pediatrician looked at my mom and said, have her walk down the hallway in her diaper and have her come back. So down the hallway I went, and I came back, and the doctor looked at my mom and said, your child has muscular dystrophy. For my family, they described that moment as life stopping and life crashing. Because in 1987, that meant that life was going to be very short. They sent my mom home with the message of, she probably will not be walking for much longer, she'll probably never be able to feed herself, and most likely she won't be alive at the age of 15. So we wish you the best of luck. Here's what we know. There's not much research out there, but go and here's a number you can call of a mother who's in Ontario somewhere who can talk to you and help you through this. Well, my mom will tell the story very differently of feeling like her world was ending. She asked the doctor to wait till my dad got to the doctor's office because she said, my husband's never going to believe this. We are a sports family, we play hockey, we do everything. This isn't in our cars. This isn't what our life is supposed to be like. And in 1987, all my mom could remember was the Jerry Lewis telethon and what children with muscular dystrophy looked like. I continued to wear my daughter hat and continued to just show them I was going to do things my way and only my way. And my mom says the story of leaving that doctor's office that day and saying that she stopped and said that we'll be done. Whatever we're going to do it to the best of our ability. If that's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever that is going to look like, we're going to do this together. So I always like to push the boundaries a little bit. And shortly after that diagnosis, I had hip surgery and put me into a body cast. And the doctor said she won't be able to move very much and just, keep her entertained, but we'll see you in a year. So they put me in a body cast, and 6 weeks later my mom called and said, so she's walking in the body cast. Is this a problem? And the doctor said, when I met your daughter, I knew we weren't going to stop her. So if she's walking, just let her walk. So I continued to push the boundaries, and I said to them, I want to play hockey like my brothers. And my parents were like, you're not going to be able to skate the same, and your legs are quite a bit weaker. And I said, I just want to play hockey like my brothers. So they taught me how to skate. Wasn't a pretty sight. I played my first game. I scored on my own net, and I dropped my hockey stick and never played again. I found my freedom in the water. So fast track a few years. There was many doctor's appointments, many trips down that 401 to London and Toronto to meet with different doctors and find out what was going to be the best course of action. Learning through each doctor's appointment. We always called it the highway of fear, because going to the doctor's appointments, you never really knew what they were going to say. What muscles had shut down that year that you didn't even really think you thought you had a sore calf, but did that mean you were losing your calf muscles? So what did that really mean? So I would continue to go to the doctors, and they'd say, well, there's no stopping her. Just keep doing it, and we'll wait for this time to come. We'll slowly start to see these muscles and the weakness progress. And so I found freedom in the water. So physiotherapy was every day as a little kid, where they were stretching and pulling. And before 2011, it was really appropriate. I used to call the physiotherapists physioterrorists. And I would say I hated going to physio, but I needed something to keep these muscles strong. Neither one of my parents swim well. I'm pretty sure my mom doesn't get her face wet ever. But water was where I had my freedom. So they put me into the pool, and I started physio in the water. And that's where my swimming career took off, was from finding a strength-based way of doing physiotherapy. I started to swim, and I was able to be free. There was no limitations for me. There was no barriers. I was just as fast and slowly started getting faster than all of my friends in swimming. And so I said, this is what I want to do. I want to swim. And so I started to join the local summer swim team, and then it progressed from there, and quickly moved to, at the age of 13, I was training 2 hours a day, and continuing to go. I swam at my very first qualifying meet, which was just to kind of go see how you do, see how it feels, and see if this is something we really want to invest in. And I broke the Canadian record and made the national team. I still had to translate to my dad the name of the races that I was swimming at that point, so he was taking a little while to come along on this swimming world. I continued to train, training increased, and at the end of my career I was swimming between 6.5 to 7 hours a day, and training. When I went to my first Olympics and I won my 3 gold medals, I broke a world record by 31 seconds in the 400-meter freestyle. And so I knew I was where I belonged. And back then the Paralympics weren't as known as they are today. So we see them on the commercials today, but it really started the Paralympic movement. I really had a hand in play on educating our country and our world on what the Paralympics is, and what that means is that we're parallel to the Olympics. It's the exact same as the Olympics. The only difference is that these athletes have a physical disability that we've also had to try and work into our training schedule and being able to compete. I wasn't done and kept training and swimming, as you've heard, and I swam in Athens. But the greatest thing about Athens was the world caught up. So in 2000, I dove into the pool and I gave it my best and worked my butt off for those gold medals. But in 2004, I worked my ass off for those bronze medals. And I came in third by 1/100th of a second out of silver and out of gold. So it was the races of my life, but very honored to take that bronze medal because, like I had said, the world had caught up. I continued swimming a few more years, but something if we backtrack a little bit, to put a new hat on, happened in 2000. When you leave the city of Windsor or any city in Ontario or in Canada, and you go to your first Olympics or Paralympic Games, you go kind of as a nobody, and you come home and slowly people know you, and the phone is ringing and they want you to do speaking engagements here, and they want you to go there. And I was very committed to sharing my medals and my success stories with youth. I really wanted to make sure other kids who had a disability or anybody who had struggles knew that if you just set little goals, you could achieve that. So I made the commitment to go across the schools in Ontario and in especially Windsor and Essex County and share my story. So it was getting a little bit chaotic, and my mom had come in and said, okay, that's it. No more for a little bit. You need to take a break. You actually need to go to high school. It's important. And so we're taking a little break. We're not doing any more speaking engagements. And the phone rang. And suddenly she said, sure, no problem, we'll be there. And I thought, well, that's a horrible manager. I need to look for new talent. You just said, we're not doing anything more. And she said, yes, I know, but it's Muscular Dystrophy Canada calling, and that's obviously very important. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. And she said, and firefighters are one of their greatest supporters, and they want us to come and do some speaking engagements at some firefighter events. So we're just going to do these. And that convenient that now I know why we're back. So in 2000, we started our journey of speaking with Muscular Dystrophy Canada and being able to share our story at home, sharing our story of where it fit the most, of what it was like living with muscular dystrophy. Shortly after that, I became one of the national ambassadors for muscular dystrophy. So I wore the national ambassador hat for 18 years with pride, where I would get to go and share the journey of what muscular dystrophy is like. Muscular dystrophy and living with it, the simplest way that I can explain it is it's a joy stealer. Everything in your life that you can think of that should bring you joy, you have to battle when you have muscular dystrophy to find the way to keep the joy in that. So for example, going to school, and what's every kid's favorite subject? Recess. Muscular dystrophy steals the joy out of recess because you can't run like your friends, you can't play on the playground like your friends, and so it takes that joy away. And as you grow through life stages, it steals the joy. It steals the joy of being able to go to prom and just be a normal kid, or graduate high school and walk across the stage because, well, they forgot that they needed a ramp, and so now you can't get on to the stage to accept your diploma like all of your other friends. So the simplest way that I can explain what is muscular dystrophy and how does it feel like is it, people always ask, is it painful? Well, yeah, it can be painful, it can be tiring, it can be exhausting, but it steals your joy. It steals your joy out of moments that really should just be filled with joy. And as we go through my story and my journey, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So I wore my hat as an MDC ambassador very seriously, and I took it with pride that I got to come around and say thank you for the work that people did. The fundraising, the dollars, the research, because it meant that I got to keep having dreams. I got to keep having hope. I got to keep moving forward. So then recently, just over a year and a half ago, I put on a new hat, and I put on a hat of an MDC staff. And I now get to be the director of our missions team with my other coworker, and we get to inspire and teach and explain to our staff the importance of what we do from a client perspective, the importance of what we do so that our clients can live their best life. My motto is, you just have to be your best. You don't always have to be the best, but you have to be your best. And so to keep pushing through. So as a director with Muscular Dystrophy Canada, that is what I do. I inspire the staff to find ways to reach out to our fellow Canadians who are living with muscular dystrophy and encourage them to be their best. So now we come to my most important hat, and the hat that most of you from just sitting in this room are involved in, and gave me the ability to wear this hat. This, when I don't have 7-week-olds in the room, is a lot easier to talk to you about. But my last hat that I wear is a mom. So, like every woman, I went into the doctor's office and I said, hey, I want to know something. I want to know something about muscular dystrophy and if I will be able to have kids. And the answer was, we don't know about that. There's just not the research out there to tell us if you'll be able to have kids. We're not really sure what to do about that, but I guess we could run some tests and see what happens, and we'll go from there. And I was devastated. I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. I wanted to be a world record holder. I worked for those. But inside of me, deep down inside me, I wanted to be a mom, more than anything. And when I heard that, because you have this joy stealer, this muscular dystrophy joy stealer, you may not be able to be a mom. It was devastating. Took me to some dark places where I had to figure out, how do I push through? How do I keep living when I know that the end of my story doesn't look like everybody else's end of their story? There will be a wheelchair, there will be AIDS, there will be all this other ugly stuff, and how do I keep pushing through? And what's the point? What's the point if in the end I'm just going to be there and just here inside but not able to do anything else? Took me to a really dark place. That's where you come in. So 46 years ago, we started a golf tournament and said, we're really interested in research and making sure that we can answer these questions. We're really interested in giving hope to people living with a neuromuscular disorder. You come to a golf tournament and you have a great day of, like, I love the way Brad said, putting the competition aside. But what you're actually doing is you're saying, Danielle, go live your best life. Don't worry about what those doctors said in 1987, because we're going to put the money so that those scientists that speak a different language than we do can find that cure, so that we're one step closer, so we can say go. So to you today, it was a golf tournament. For 46 years, this has been our oxygen. This has been what keeps us being able to say, I have hope to keep pushing forward. You heard today, I have 4 children. 2 of them are my oldest, 14 and 12. I say they're my favorite because they didn't give me stretch marks, because they came from my husband's first marriage, which is awesome. The younger 2. The younger 2 keep me up all night, and that's a whole different story. But I get to wear the hat as mom. So how did that happen? Well, let me tell you what happened. We put money from Muscular Dystrophy Canada into research. And this wonderful doctors across the world started doing the research that they needed to do. So that one day I walked into a doctor's office and he said to me, yeah, something's not right. You are 19 years old, you are still touching your toes. I think you were misdiagnosed. So I went, stop, because I'm the National Ambassador of Muscular Dystrophy, so if you take that title away, we have a problem. And he said, we are learning so much about muscular dystrophy, so much that we know that there are over 161 different types of muscular dystrophy. I just want to take this tiny little muscle biopsy and see if we can identify what part of your genes are not written correctly, and how we can see how to fix this, how to treat this. Okay, so in 1987, I have a scar that goes from the bottom of my ankle up halfway up my leg, because that was a muscle biopsy. When I was 19, a muscle biopsy now, because of the research, is a simple little needle poke, where they just take out a tiny little piece of the muscle and you keep going. They have done so much research around to be able to say continue to live, that I can now take a scoop of creatine, and anybody can walk into a natural food store and buy creatine powder, and it gives me 14% more strength. What does that mean? It means that I can go into university and graduate university. It means that I can live a normal life. It meant that my body got strong enough to say, hey, we know what to do. You can be a mom. You're strong enough now to carry a baby. You're strong enough now to walk up that flight of stairs. You're strong enough now that we don't have to worry about what's going to happen. Just 3 years ago, we had our first child, and it was an amazing miracle and very exciting for us. As muscular dystrophy does, it steals some joy. So it was a very scary pregnancy, because nobody really knew what it was going to look like. Our son was born, it was great. We got to the first stage of, what do you want to do? Let's sign him up for swimming lessons. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that I can't take him into a pool by myself, because I can't do that part of lifting and getting him out of the water and keeping him safe. So your mom is an Olympic swimmer and I can't take you swimming. And it hurt like hell, and it stole my joy. But then I remembered, there are golf tournaments going on like this. There are people like you that sign up and know that it's important to keep coming back and raising that $1 that goes all the way to $5 million, which is amazing, so that we can do the research and provide the lives that we need for people living with muscular dystrophy. So that then I can say, you know what, I can find a way to put him in swimming. I can find a way to take him to a playground and have the same life that everyone in the moms group who are complaining that they just didn't get enough coffee today and I want to hit them. And I can say, I get it. I get what it's like to just be normal. So my job is one of the greatest jobs in our agency and across the country, is I get to come and say thank you. I get to say thank you because bouncing at the side of the room is my second child. It's a miracle, but it's because of each and every one of you for coming out and taking the time to raise money, that I get to say on behalf of everyone in Canada that is living with a neuromuscular disorder, when a parent hears now your child has muscular dystrophy, they can say, so how do we fight it? So what do we do? No parent is stopping right now and going, oh my God, my son or daughter is going to die. because we give them the hope, because you give us the ability to turn around and say, dream big. You want to be an Olympic athlete? Do it. You want to graduate university? Let's go. Let's figure out how we're going to get you across that stage with your master's degree. People are living into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s with muscular dystrophy, active members of our community. And I want you to hear this when I say this. It's because of you. It's because you take the time to continue. I can only imagine organizing a golf tournament like this, how crazy stressful that can be, and how many times the board of directors probably feels like going, ugh, right? Not another thing. Or our families say, not another event, you're going to be gone another night. Well, I thank your families and I thank you, because there is no end date to my journey. We don't know when it's going to happen. And I walked into a doctor's office last year to hear, Danielle, you're not going to die of muscular dystrophy. You're going to die probably from the same things that all of us die from, but it won't be muscular dystrophy. I get to dream and live a whole life with my children and my family because you guys come to a golf tournament, because you guys keep fighting. On the days that muscular dystrophy steals my joy, you put it back, because I know that you're not going to stop fighting until we find the cure. We have a saying at Muscular Dystrophy that is, we work as one, and I truly believe it. We are all one. And so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for playing in that crazy weather today, for coming to a golf tournament and continuing to dedicate and care to raise money. I don't have a dream out there that I've set that I know that I won't accomplish, because I know I will accomplish it. I will teach my kids to strive and be the best that they can be, and to be their best, because you've given me that ability to hope, to dream, and you've given me the opportunity to teach everyone living with a neuromuscular disorder that they get to do the same thing. I'm so happy that we could be here today. Thank you so much, and I want to wish you the best of luck for another 46 years, and hopefully we're doing it because we found a cure, and now we're just celebrating, and thank you so very much.